I've been doing dinosaurs for a little over 2 years now, and the subject is a children's subject. I saw it as an opportunity for teaching art and science. I guess I get excited about it, you know, the visual aspect of the creature. I like the forms and shapes, and I also enjoying the movement and the engineering in the skeletons. I like the time travel, I guess, going back into time. It's a good way to explore. I'm an explorer by nature. I like to go forward and explore ideas. I gather information, as much information on the particular dinosaur that I'm building, visual, and I make my blueprints. I usually start with a skull, and I make it first. Every piece of sheet metal that we use to make the bones has to be beaten with a hammer to stretch one side of it so it will curve. And then when all those parts are done, we assemble them. Then I look at the basic skeletal structure, and I try to mimic the joints. For instance, the hips are ball and socket joints, and so are the shoulders. I guess the art of it for me is the engineering and the movement of these ancient skeletons. That effect, it brings life to the sculpture. You know, movement is life, and so that's what I go after. I can feel the creatures that I'm moving. It's a real tactile sense, and you can put a lot of nuance and a lot of your own personal movement into it. They're like instruments. You play them, you can move them around, you can wreck them, or you can make them do, you know, amazing things. Do a flashback into the prehistoric? Somewhat, yeah. I do realize that, you know, being around them, the proportions are very huge to a human scale, and we would have been very small creatures in that world. It was a large world. When everything's welded in place, and I go back with a hammer, much like a sculptor would to chisel something. I take the hammer and dent the work until it looks bone-like, and it looks like the object that I'm going after. I don't try to hide the hammer marks or the cutting marks or the welding marks, because they're like the energy of the person who's building it. It's not a machine that's building these, but a human being pounding on a hammer with a hammer, and so that it has a nice energy when it's all assembled. I like the simplicity of cables. I liken it to my experience with like bicycles when I was a kid, the brake cables and that sort of thing, making things move from remote control. It's fun. That's what it is. Yeah, they have different personalities. The meat-eating dinosaurs have a very aggressive personality, and the architecture of the bones and the proportions of the bones lead the creature into a certain movement, which is very believable. The architecture of the skeleton almost creates a personality. I like to inspire. I like to always learn. An exhibit like this is an alternative form of education. My mind needs to be satisfied by learning and by discovering. And that's what keeps me going in art. I like art because it is total exploration in my mind.